A teenager was arrested this afternoon after crashing a truck into a Quincy yard. It happened here at the intersection of North 6th and Cherry Streets in Quincy. Police say a witness saw the teen driving recklessly on North 3rd Street. Another witness told WGN that he saw two people get out of the car and then run away just before the crash. The teen is charged with possession of a stolen vehicle, reckless driving, driving without a license, improper lane usage, and operating an uninsured vehicle. He's being held in the Adams County Juvenile Detention Center. No injuries were reported.